Hey, what's up, guys? Wali Atom here with another video to you for the Sangriaville Sangria Nation YouTube page. This time it is going to be a book review. I am going to review 3 books to help you in the experience of peyote. What is peyote? Well, that's where we come to this first book. Peyote is a cactus that's found in southern Arizona, no, southern Texas, right up from Corpus Christi, and it goes from southern Texas down to northern Mexico through the Sierra Madre Desert, and it's a little spineless cactus that, when eaten, is a medicine for your soul to help you understand the things you might not get about yourself. And what this book explains is that entire existence of that cactus and when it was used and when it was first discovered, and how the Native Americans used it to brand a religion, which is called peyoteism, and how the oldest people who who still do, but the oldest people who use it as a sacrament, the Huichols of Mexico, it explains everything, pretty much, everything about that cactus. And, if you ever wanted to do that cactus, you have to make sure that you do it in a place where it's legal, because it's not legal everywhere in the United States. The only people that are really necessarily allowed to use it are the Native Americans, and you have to belong to the Native American church. And unless you're a Native American, you cannot join that church. But there are other opportunities for you to be able to experience the peyote enlightenment, and that is through a sub church, an all denominations church, in Wilcox, Arizona, where it is legal, and it's called the Peyote Way Church of God. And if you ever wanted to do the peyote experience, they call it a spirit walk, and you could sign up to be a member of this church, and you get a documentation from the federal government saying that you use peyote in the legalized areas of the United States to as a part of your spiritual practice. So if you ever wanted to do peyote and you never did peyote, one of the books that I'm going to recommend that you could read is The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. This book right here has nothing to do with peyote and everything to do with LSD. And the reason why I'm recommending this book is it is a extremely good tool in understanding what a psychedelic does to alter your consciousness. Because that's what you're doing when you're taking peyote. You're altering your consciousness and seeing through the eyes of something completely different. And some people say it is the spirit world. Some people call it a trip. Some people call it a spirit walk. But pretty much all it is altering your consciousness and altering your perception on what you perceive everything to be. Now, what peyote is, it's not like you're going to go out and you're going to go and trip out and see pink elephants and see demons and all this stuff. Peyote is nothing about that. It's not a recreational drug. It's not something you do with your friends. It's not something that you'd be like, oh, well, it's Saturday and I have nothing to do. I'm going to do peyote. Peyote is a very, very, very serious thing. And I don't respect anybody who takes peyote out of its context of what it's supposed to be used for, and that is self-enlightenment, to understand yourself and understand what you want out of life and understand what makes you tick and understand how you could become a better person. With that said, when taking anything that's considered a psychedelic, you could have a overdose of perception distortion, and you can have a thing called a bad trip. Now, with peyote, there is no such thing as a bad trip, because even the most horrific thing that might cross your mind it is all for the greater good of the expansion of oneself and the expansion of your mind and the expansion of your consciousness and the understanding of who you are. So even the most saddest memory or the most repressed memory, because peyote is going to pull out all of those memories that you repressed and you wanted to keep down inside and hide and not let anybody know what it is, or try to like out of sight, out of mind, and I don't want to think about that. What peyote does is take those memories and yank them out and throw them into your consciousness, ripped right out of your subconscious, thrown right into your consciousness of being, of the here and now, and forces you to come to terms with it. To some people that might be bad, to some people that might be good, but in the end, the repressed thoughts and the repressed things that you had and that you felt guilt about, you now come to terms with, and it's almost like releasing weight off your shoulders. Now, this book right here by Timothy Leary is a great book and tool to use to get you through not having a unsatisfactory experience. But like I said, there's no such thing. But what this does is this helps you guide the journey in which you're going to take. And when I say a journey, you're talking a journey, a physical, mental, exhausting journey that lasts hours and hours and hours. And this will help you get through that. And what this does is explain different ways of going into that journey, not predetermined, but with the tools needed to maneuver through this consciousness. And Timothy Leary, if you never heard of him, was a psychologist from Harvard, and he was an LSD guru of the 60s, and people may have labeled that man as a joke or a quack, but if you really looked at what Timothy Leary did and studied, he was a very brilliant man in the understanding of consciousness. And the guy took a lot of trips. I mean, he took a lot of trips. He took LSD, he took a lot of things, but we're not talking about LSD and all this other nonsense. We're talking about peyote. So this will definitely help you. Well, that's the 3 books that I recommend. Even if you don't want to do peyote, they're very interesting books, and it gives you insight to that whole psychedelic experience. So if you're a person that's like, oh no, that's stupid, or that's blah, or that's dumb, one, you can't knock it till you try it. 2, ignorance is bliss for some people. So open up your mind and understand it. Even if you're not going to do it, it's good to understand all realms of life and all aspects of life. So I'm Wali Atom. Maybe the next time I do a video, I'll tell you how that why that peyote experience changed me, and what it was like that night in the desert. But until next time, see you later. I'm Wali Atom.